This is the Benchmade 477. It is an Osborne design. It's got an aluminum handle. You see it has the Benchmade axis lock locking mechanism. The weight on this is about 4 ounces. The blade length is 3.45 inches. And this is the larger version of the Benchmade Emissary, which I have reviewed previously. And here is the clip side of the knife. That pocket clip, it's a 2-position pocket clip, right? It comes right side tip up carry, can be reversed to left side tip up carry, and it's a nice polished pocket clip. Overall, I do like just the basic design, the shape of the handle, and you'll see the blade shape ain't too shabby either. And here is the 477 all opened up. You can see it's got thumb studs as your opening facility. And you see it is a very pointed drop point. Right, has a partial flat grind up to that bevel. Little bit of a stone wash on the blade. The current price on this, about $192. Is it worth it? Well, I thought so. I mean, the fit and finish and just general quality on this knife is extremely high. A close-up of that S30V steel blade, see the Benchmade logo. Remember, these are made in the USA. Now, that blade shape, I'll tell you, very pointed. That would absolutely melt into, let's say, anything soft. I'm not sure if they've meant this to be a tactical blade or just a larger version of their everyday carry. The original Emissary, I think it could do double duty. All right, you could consider it just an everyday carry pocket utility knife for maybe just someone who has a little bit larger size hands, all right, for the original one. But yeah, in an emergency, the piercing ability of this blade shape, pretty scary. Now let's compare the large Emissary to the original. This is the original Emissary. You can check out my review of this knife, which was featured on Benchmade's Facebook page back in the day. All right, but you see that's the direct size comparison. All right, so substantially larger than the original. And here is the size comparison when opened. The original Emissary on top and the large Emissary. So again, substantially longer, larger. Alright, you see the construction here. It is closed construction. This is the axis lock. Alright, and it is a type of piston lock, meaning it goes up and down like a piston. And when it goes down, alright, you see that there. Right, it goes down. When it goes back up, it locks into a depression in the tang, the partial tang of the knife. And then there are small springs called omega springs that spring it back up. And you see you got a little jimping right there on kind of a thumb rest. Now this is an assisted knife, meaning that the opening is manual, for the first part. Hold on, I'm going to be careful because this is sharp and pointed as hell. Hold on. There will be blood. No, there won't. Alright, as you can see, it is a manual knife in that it's not going to spring open. It's not going to spring open automatically. It just stays there. But then past that, it has a little bit of an assist to help you manually flick it out faster. See that? Now, normally I consider an assist to be a little bit janky on most folders, but not on this. The assist on this, it's done very well. I mean, normally I hate an assist combined with a thumb stud, but in this case, I mean, this is as good as you can make an assist. And that's, I mean, look at that. This is made to be opened very easily in an emergency. For example, you're a paramedic, you got to rush somewhere and you got to cut something real fast, okay, and you don't have time to fiddle around. This would be perfect. Right side, no problem. Left side, no problem. So the opening, the smoothness, the deployment, the assist, they all get A+. A+ rating for this knife. Now here is something very interesting, okay? This switch right here is both a safety and a secondary lock. To engage the safety, you push it forward like so. On a folding knife, a safety is a mechanism that prevents the knife from opening. So this is engaged now. I cannot open this knife. I push on the thumb studs and it will not open. Alright, so that safety prevents it from opening. Take the safety off, it can open again. But this is not only a safety. If I engage it when the knife is open, it now prevents the lock from being disengaged. I cannot disengage this lock now. I cannot close the knife with this secondary lock in place. In order to disengage this, I have to disengage that secondary, and now I can close it. As far as having a safety on a knife, I have mixed feelings about that. The reason they have this is because they're afraid you might bump the thumb studs against something when it's in your pocket, and they're afraid that this might open in your pocket. That's why they put a safety on there. However, the whole point of this assist is so that you can get at your knife quickly in, an emergency. And if the safety accidentally gets bumped and gets on, that would basically be a disaster. If you need a knife, emergency, and the safety is accidentally on, that would be a disaster. So whether a safety is good all depends on how easy that safety is to accidentally engage. How easy is it to accidentally put this on when you don't mean to? I don't know. That's something that's going to have to be figured out over time. But if it starts getting put on accidentally, I imagine people would somehow disable that. Now, as far as using it as a secondary lock, I have no problem with that because you don't have to use it if you don't want, so it's just a bonus. How sharp is the knife? Slow cut. It's very sharp. I mean, you can make those tiny little julienne French fry cuts. It's extremely sharp. I mean, the sharpness is like an A to an A+. How would I rate this knife overall? Well, fit and finish and quality control. I mean, I'd have to give that an A+. Look at all the polished hardware there. I mean, it's very well done. A lot of precision's gone into it. So, overall quality, A+. The deployment, the pivot, all that good stuff, I'd have to give that an A+ too. The assist on this is as well as an assist can be done. There's no blade play, so I'd have to give that lockup an A+ as well. The blade shape, I would give this blade shape an A+. I like it. Partial flat grind, extremely pointed drop point. The materials used, well, I mean, I like the CPM S30V steel. I'd give, definitely gets an A. The aluminum, a lot of people would prefer titanium, so I guess I'll give that a B+ instead of an A. Doesn't really bother me though. Secondary lock, that's fine. The safety, I don't prefer a safety, but that's all right. The axis lock solves a lot of problems. I mean, it makes it completely ambidextrous, and it's also just a very compact locking mechanism. However, there are a lot of people that do not like the omega springs because they sometimes break. Okay, so I don't know how to rate that. You know, it has pluses and minuses, but yeah, it has an axis lock. But overall, this is one of Benchmade's best knives this year. I mean, that's it's been a while since I've had a Benchmade on the channel. I think the last Benchmade I reviewed was this 531. You know, it's a G10 handle. Check out that review. But with Benchmades, I pick and choose. You know, some of their stuff doesn't really do it for me. But this knife was a must-have for me. Yeah, I definitely think this knife is a winner in terms of being either a large, you know, a large size, see its first production run, as either a large everyday carry utility knife or a little backup tactical folder. As far as the pricing on this, hey, everybody wants made in the USA, but then they complain when, you know, made in the USA is a little more expensive than they want it to be. You know, I'm not going to defend the pricing. Basically, there's a lot more competition in the folding knife world than there was just a few years ago. And, you know, years ago, Benchmade almost could have its own way. Now, the problem I see in their price structure is that there's a lot of folding knife buyers that, instead of buying this knife that's a little less than $200, what they do is they save up another $100 or even another $200, and they go to an even higher priced mid-tech. So that is one problem, but I don't sell knives, so it's not my problem. But I try to compare knives kind of within their own price category. So is this knife the equal to, let's say, a Spyderco that would be $200? Like, my titanium military from Spyderco was around $200. So can this hang, like, quality-wise with something like that? Yeah, it can. It can. Alright, well, I hope you enjoyed seeing this blade. This has been We All Juggle Knives. I'm out.